Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
What's up?
You know, I say good evening, but we really don't know when they're listening.
That's true.
Well, but it's evening for us.
It is evening for us.
Yeah, it for sure is.
Yeah.
That's kind of like time travel. We were actually talking about that off air.
It is like time travel.
Sort of a form of time travel.
It is.
Not really.
Maybe a time loop at best.
There you go.
Malarkey.
We're forged in time.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
So we've got a cool one. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself here. You know what you guys need to do? Hit that like button, hit subscribe, share it. We're gaining some traction.
Yes, we are.
So we appreciate all the listeners.
And I will say this too. Everybody I've talked to, they're always like, well, how do I know when the new episode comes out? Click subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
There, you don't even have to think about it. Your phone or device will tell you.
If you're watching on YouTube, the bell.
Yeah,
the bell
the
gives
little
you
bell.
notifications. Yeah.
And
every time.
I mean, pretty much. I think it's safe to say probably Thursday or Friday of just about every week.
Yep.
Yeah, I try to get it on Thursday, but sometimes Thursdays can get a little bit crazy. But I definitely before Saturday. So
yeah. So there you go.
Thursday's the target day. So if you don't see it on Thursday, then it's coming. It's coming.
Yep.
And last week I had some sort of technical difficulty with the socials.
Oh, really?
I had to do it twice.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. But that just happens sometimes, you know.
Yeah, wherever you're watching, YouTube is the easiest to find it on.
Yeah.
It is. Or Spotify. Man, Spotify will bring you right up. I mean, if you're an audio person, Spotify just is super efficient. We're working on, and very soon, we will be debuting on Apple Podcasts and all the other podcast services. So I'm looking forward to that because then
I am too.
What app do you use for your podcast?
Well, see, I'm an Amazon Music guy.
Okay.
Oh, long live Jeff Bezos, huh?
Well, I was Google Podcast because I'm Team Android.
Yeah.
So
that's right. I forget.
Yeah, you don't have a soul.
No, I'm proud to be Team Android. I can zoom in on the moon, man. Like I can see the rover on the moon with that 100 times zoom on that camera. But yeah, I did use Google Podcasts. I think it's going away, so I'm Amazon Music. But when we get it put out, it should be on there. Man, it's crazy. There's a ton. I think some people use iHeartRadio. I think even it does it. I think Audible. Like there is a ton of podcast channels. But all you guys need to know is where Reverent and Rebellious.
That's exactly. We are coming at you, Reverent and Rebellious. I use Overcast.
Okay, I've never used that one.
I love it. I heavily endorse it. In fact, if they want to sponsor us,
we are open.
Overcast.
We are open.
It is a very good podcast app.
Well, what is your Reverent and Rebellious dad joke?
Okay, I'm going to continue a little bit with the musician jokes today.
All right.
So, how do you know if the drum riser is level?
I have no idea.
The drummer drools out of both sides of his mouth. And what did the drummer get on his IQ test?
What?
Drool. Thank you.
I do enjoy getting busted out every now and then.
Yes, it's very nice. Yeah. Yes, very nice.
Good
So there you go. A couple of little musician jokes.
More like drummer jokes.
They are drummer. The drummer jokes are easy though.
Yeah,
are they easy targets?
Drummers are easy to pick on.
It's like drummer, bass player, guitar players.
Yeah,
and then the rest.
Singers.
I almost feel like singers would be like easy because they're kind of like.
Yeah,
I feel like they're the face a lot of times.
You can't say it to them though because they'll cry.
Yeah, they'll get offended and leave the band.
That's right.
There's one. How many sopranos does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
Only one. She holds the light bulb and the world revolves around her.
So true.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one. What goes clop 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 bang 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 clop 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 clop?
I don't know.
That's an Amish drive-by shooting.
I was still thinking music.
Peter tickled himself with that one.
I hadn't told that one in a long time.
That's good.
I like
good.
that. That one's fitting with us, man. You know, we're always talking about our weaponry.
Yeah,
so
I heard the clop clop, and I'm immediately like, okay, here comes a drummer jack.
Well, that's how I was. I was like, what kind of music thing could this apply to?
That was free of charge.
There you go.
Good job.
Yep.
No charge on that one.
Well, we have. It seems our last episode has almost introduced even more questions.
It really has. You know, it was interesting because I was thinking when we were making last week's episode, I was thinking, okay, I hope people don't find this just mundane and boring, because we were really talking about the theological side of things.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was really necessary to lay the groundwork.
Yeah, groundwork for sure.
Experiential stuff that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, they sort of came at me a little bit. It's like,
Oh, really?
oh, well, it's like, you know, well, everything from, well, they're just not real.
Yeah.
Why are you even talking about them? They're just not real.
Yeah.
To, you know, well, it wouldn't impact me at all, because, you know, and it's like, okay, you got it. But anyway, a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
We stirred up a lot of emotions.
Yeah. That's good.
yeah,
That's very good.
When we were talking about what they look like, have any of y'all ever seen Anchorman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Love
All right, so
Anchorman.
you know where Jack Black kicks the dog over the bridge? My buddy Shank put that on on YouTube. He said, all I know is if they look like that, I'm going to be like Jack Black and Punt
There you go.
Baxter.
There you
go. I got pretty tickled.
Did
with
he
that.
put the GIF up or something
No,
on YouTube?
no.
Yeah. No, Anchorman's classic. Well,
Okay, so we sort of laid the groundwork by saying, you know, we saying that Scripture does not outline or, you know, point to, or, you know, you can't really get anything out of Scripture
Right.
that but it certainly does not rule it out.
Right.
yeah.
There's all sorts of space and all sorts of room for there being something else out in the universe that's created by God.
I feel like, and this is kind of the go-to like example people use when someone kind of says something like that, like, okay, what do they, you know, you've heard, I'm sure everybody's heard it. They don't mention dinosaurs in the Bible.
Yeah.
And
That's
we
right.
know that there were dinosaurs.
Yep.
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs,
I like
man.
that better. Yeah.
Yeah, give a little southern twist
There
on
you
there.
go.
Them dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Dinosaurs sounds like something you'd pick up at a bad gas station.
Good job. Good job.
But yeah, I mean, the Bible doesn't mention electricity.
That's true.
But electricity existed in Bible days. So they just didn't know about it.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There you
They
go.
needed Ben Franklin, didn't kite the key, you know.
he wasn't there. He wasn't there.
They were busy
So,
in those times.
What we're gonna do today is we're gonna wrestle a little bit more, because we wanted to pull it into more modern times and talk about some of these very real encounters and experiences. We're gonna cover the gamut from what do they don't call them UFOs anymore. They call them something else.
Was
Oh,
something
dang
APs,
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
aerial phenomenon.
We're going to
Yeah.
call them UFOs because
That's just
he's
what
an
they are.
unidentified flying object. Yeah, it's like
Got to represent for our buddy Larry.
Larry Norman.
Are they UAPs?
UAP.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
UAP.
Yeah.
That's it.
So anyway, so we want to sort of unpack some of this stuff. I want to talk first. See what you guys know. You guys have all the stories. I don't have very many stories, so I'm just going to ask questions, and you're going to answer them. So, what do you tell us about some of this stuff that we've been hearing about? That's just been, you know, kind of coming out just lately about these pilots seeing these objects in space, and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
That's the thing is
That's
now
been the latest thing, right?
Yeah.
before I would say the last 7-10 years, every UFO thing that came out was just, you know, oh, this crazy person out in the woods. But now you got the Pentagon,
Yeah.
you know, the Department of the Navy saying, oh yeah, by the way, we caught this thing on radar, on film. Check it out. There's proof. There's radar proof.
The most popular one is the Tic Tac.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
What do you know about the Tic Tac?
Man, I've seen a little video of it like flying around.
Just a little white pill in the air.
Yeah.
Yep.
And see, and that's what, and I mean, look, I'm as skeptical of the U.S. government as anybody can possibly be.
Yeah.
But it does offer a level of credence to it. Like, well, okay, before it was like, say, old Billy Bob out here at his, in his trailer in Arizona or wherever, and he's like, man, I see it. Now, I mean, literally, our military is like, we have over 400 sightings.
And by definition, you have to take credence to everything that came before.
Yeah.
Because it lines up.
Yeah. You don't have to take all of the sightings, as true and factual, but those that are of a similar nature, you have to backtrack. And, talking about the government, I also don't put it past them to have been covering this up for quite some time.
Yes.
Because, certain things they don't want to get out.
Well, and I would say what they are telling us is only the tip of the iceberg.
That's exactly right.
And that's another thing, too, is everyone's like, well, we uncovered this and we learned this. No, we didn't. Everything that we know is the amount that they're going to let us know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But it's to the point now to where they can't really keep it covered up.
Right.
It's happening that many times.
Technology's come too far, man.
Yeah. So the Tic Tac, for those of you who don't know what the Tic Tac is, and this has been seen by commercial airline pilots.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They've called into the air tower before, and you can hear the audio recording.
And they'll be flying along, and the cameras get it and everything, and they see this. Sometimes it's more than one. Mm-hmm. And they're like these little white, they call them Tic Tacs because that's what they look like. They're little white pill things. And they'll just show up, and then they'll hover, and then they'll take take these really
radical 90-degree turns and stuff that does not obey the law of physics.
Well, that's what I say. That's what always stands out to these things is it's like we don't. From what they tell us, we don't have technology that's capable of doing what these things are doing.
See, that's why I call aliens jerks. That's why they're arrogant, man.
They're showing off.
Yeah, we're the cat, and they got a laser pointer. Yeah. Just like, hey, check it out. We're all over the place.
Here I am. You can't catch me.
But that is the interesting thing, though, is they do not. Everything physical in our world has to obey the law of physics, and these do not.
Right, they don't, and this sort of gets back to you backtrack, and now we got now there have been some flying saucer sightings that have been totally debunked. It's like that didn't happen, but there are some very hard to explain phenomena. And so then we get back to who's your buddy you were talking about last week?
Bob Lazar.
Oh, yeah, Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar, yep.
So he was trying to reverse engineer what exactly?
It was like a gravitational device. Okay. And if you followed, have you heard any of this David Grush?
Oh, a little bit. A little bit.
So, he's the whistleblower that came out.
That's right.
And it gained enough steam that the Congress actually had to have a hearing.
There's a big petition now to get his clearance back so he can uncover
I think I saw
stuff.
Today they're trying to reinstate his clearance.
Yep.
But he went on there and he said that they had basically it was kind of like what Bob Lazar was saying, but they had this essentially like a UFO task force that's been created for years, and it's just been to basically keep the stuff covered up and to try to reverse engineer. But he even goes so far, he basically was saying they even have, because they asked him, they said, do we have, we have alien technology? He said, yes. They said, do we have any physical proof of an alien, like the actual person or whatever it is? And he said, from my understanding, when we recovered the technology, we potentially recovered the pilot of the technology as well. So he did, he was having to, he was very much speaking in a way to
code.
And a lot of times he'd be like, I'm not authorized to share this, because he was afraid of basically breaking his whistleblower status, and then he'd go to prison. But
ambiguity.
Bugigity? What is that?
Ambiguity.
Oh, ambiguity. Oh, gotcha. I was like,
dinosaurs.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. But he did say, he was like, he said, from what I know, we did recover some pilots of some of this technology as well. So,
but he didn't really confirm.
He didn't necessarily confirm. And that's a question that I'll have for you. I'll bring that up. Actually, I'll make a note, because that's a question I've got on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we got some questions tonight.
Yeah,
for sure. So, how, to your knowledge, Pat, how far back does this go? When did we first start kind of reporting these things?
As far as like the government goes?
No, just like sightings of weird flying objects.
Oh man, there was this couple, and I think it was in the 30s, that they spotted one on the side of the road, and they were these crazy people. God, now it's going to bother me because
you're not thinking of Betty and Barney Hill,
That's
are you?
Betty and Barney Hill. Thank you.
1961.
Was that 61?
Okay.
Yeah, they were just kind of like ridiculed for this.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, but they had this long, detailed story.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, there's no way possible.
You want me to share it? And I got it pulled up right here.
Yeah,
okay,
go for it.
We're gonna kind of turn the corner here and get into not just sightings of strange flying objects, but now we're going to get into actual encounters.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to set the stage here.
All right.
There are 5 levels of encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And everything from 1 being sight and to 5 being basically molested.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want
Violated.
5. Do not want stage 5.
And I'm not including Roswell in here just for the fact that everyone has heard of Roswell. And if you haven't, I'm sorry. You don't exist in America. Yeah. But there's just so much suspiciousness around that it would take the entire episode to talk about Roswell.
Yeah. But suffice it to say, Roswell, New Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to share a little bit of it.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, like Marcy's listening. She don't get into this. She's probably like, I don't know much about Roswell.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Roswell, this farmer, he sees this crash happen in his ranch. He goes out, checks it out, and it's burning metal. And he notices that it's not hot when he tries to touch it. So anyways, he calls in people.
Well, we know he's crazy right off the bat because
he touched it.
Right.
Touch it.
And now, according to the people that were there, like the first eyewitnesses, like the rancher and a few people that worked it, there was bodies recovered and material. And there was even an article in the newspaper that said flying disc over, I don't remember, the Roswell, New Mexico area, and they reported it, like it was news, but then they backtracked.
Yeah, they later said it was a weather balloon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A weather balloon.
And then the body was a dummy that they had used in testing.
I see. So was this like a burning bush episode?
I have no idea.
Did like the voice of the Lord speak out of the burning? It was because it was burning, but it wasn't burning.
Yeah, he touched it.
Yeah. Did he have to take off his shoes?
And supposedly, there's, I don't remember the name of this documentary, but one of the rancher's grandson or great grandson supposedly still has a piece of it.
Oh,
supposedly.
Well. Okay, so that's Roswell.
That was
Roswell.
in 1947.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got like a whole big compound there.
Yeah,
right?
and they were talking about that they believe that it wasn't an alien, that it was a government cover-up, government technology, because this is right around the time period of Operation Paperclip.
Okay.
Where they were bringing the German, the Nazi scientists over and experimenting technology. And then this technology crashed. And then they were trying to cover up the government, their secret sites, and then they were like, "Oh, it's an alien," blah blah, and the government was like, "Yeah, it was an alien."
Yeah,
go with that.
Yeah.
Go with that.
So there's still a little bit of ambiguity about that.
Ambiguity.
Yeah.
That's right.
So how does that relate to Area 51? That's in Nevada, right?
Nevada. Area 51 supposedly is a secret base where they do alien research.
Yeah, that was I went to Vegas 2 yeyears ago.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago now. And that's one of the things that I was like, while I was out there, I was by myself. So I was like, I ought to drive over there. Because you can drive to the gate.
Yeah.
Because I've watched the YouTube videos where the dudes will video them and they'll drive up to the gate. And you get up there to it and it says like, use of deadly force is authorized beyond this point. And there's the dudes, the green men or whatever, not the green men, I don't remember what they call them. But you can see them up on the hill, and they're parked there, and they're watching the gate.
Yeah,
and it's like, man, you don't go past there because they pretty well say they'll shoot you if you go past.
Supposedly they got like motion sensors and all kinds of stuff out there. But this is just me from a military background. If everybody knows where my base is at,
then that ain't the one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna store my stuff there. Like, I'm gonna be operating out of the old Piggly Wiggly that no one goes to anymore.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard.
Wasn't there like a big sort of I don't know, movement that they were going to storm
51?
Yes,
storm area 51.
What was that all about?
They were going to go. First of all,
it was the Naruto run, wasn't it?
This is how brilliant these people are. They're going to storm a military base for one.
Nice,
right? Civilians.
Yeah.
Which don't do that. Anyone watching, you will die.
Yeah.
And they're just going to force their way in and get into top secret clearance and get to check out whatever they want.
Just like that.
Yeah, just bebop on in there.
But weren't they going to do that weird like anime run that they were saying? Don't they call it the Naruto run or something, where their arms are behind their back?
That just means they'll fall on their face when they get shot.
Why don't they do it like at Fort Knox or something instead?
Right. Well, supposedly there's no gold there. If we're going to get into conspiracy
maybe
theories.
That's where the aliens are.
Dude, maybe. Dude, that's where, if I could, I just recently watched Den of Thieves.
Did you watch it? What'd you think?
Man, that movie's bad to the bone. In another life, I might be a bank robber.
Yeah.
But
it was really slick, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. It was very slick. I did not expect the ending. But that's what, man, if I was like a just crackpot criminal that could break in anything, man, I'd be like, man, forget the money. I want to know what's in Area 51. I want to know I want to break into these government bases. Yeah. Like that.
See, there's your next movie.
That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, that needs to be a movie.
Yeah.
Like, have a team that's like some freaking crackpot dudes that are like, man, we're gonna break into Area 51.
We want the president's book.
Okay.
Yes.
So who are these two people we're going to talk about?
Betty and Barney Hill.
Yes, that's right.
So
what level of encounter would you say that they had?
They were full-blown abducted and supposedly like messed with. So that'd be the fifth degree.
Close encounters of the fifth kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me pull this back up. Man, and it's really wild when you get to look and, like, you see this is in the UFO sighting map. And it's like updated pretty regularly. I got to look and it's ArcGIS, ARCGIS.com. And I was looking around. I don't really know how it all works, but I'm assuming, like, if that's I'm assuming those are like hot spots.
Yeah,
Memphis is one of them.
I've seen one in Nashville. I've seen lots of aliens in Nashville.
Yeah. Well, this one happened. It shows you kind of some of the, I guess, major things. And this was in 1955 in Hopkinsville, I guess, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Hopkinsville Goblins case. And it was a green man. It says it was a claimed close encounter with extraterrestrial beings in 1955. Ufologists regard it as one of the most significant and well-documented cases in the history of UFO incidents, while skeptics say the reports were due to the effects of excitement. So
I see green people when I get excited.
Right. Yes, exactly. All right, let me see. Let me pull this article. I had this thing up.
Betty and Barney Hill.
How do we get these really such lame excuses?
I know. Yeah.
Like, make it interesting.
I know. They're like going the message on us. It's either like awesome or just and then something worse happened.
Yeah.
So I'll read y'all the story real quick about Betty and Barney Hill. Okay. So Betty and Barney Hill, there's a couple living in New Hampshire in September 19, 1961. They had a very strange experience. Driving south on Route 3 through the White Mountains, they saw a light in the sky sometime after 10 p.m. They followed it for a while, stopping to get a better look, because of course, I mean, that's what you do.
Why would you not?
Yeah. They continued driving. Here's where it gets weird. Getting home around 5 a.m. They shouldn't have, given the trip's distance. They should have been home no later than 2 o'clock. But neither could explain the lost time, so they just had 3 hours mysteriously pass. Though at first reluctant to talk about what happened, Betty slowly began to tell people that they had seen an alien spaceship. Eventually, the Hills underwent hypnosis with the aid of a psychiatrist, Benjamin Simon, and they would come to believe that at some point they had made contact been taken aboard the alien ship and had separately been probed and examined by their captors before being released. So, like I said, you don't want that fifth degree.
No.
Nearly
Stop at two.
Yeah. Nearly everything we know or think we know about alien abductions begins with Betty and Barney Hill. They were the first people to claim that they had been abducted. They were the first people to describe aliens as not looking like science fiction's men in jumpsuits. They were short with gray skin, according to the Hills, and they were the first to be widely believed. If the story is true, then nothing about the two of them really matters. All that matters is that aliens are real. So that was kind of the initial gist. And yeah, and it would be it's kind of wild to think. Like they had no memory of the 3-hour time span, and it took something like, perhaps hypnosis could pull something out of your subconscious. And I kind of get that like Men in Black thing where, they like erase their memory or something. Maybe that's kind of how that went down.
Yeah.
Maybe the light they saw was a Dairy Queen. And they stopped and they ate so much ice cream they went into a coma.
And they just lost track of the.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Or they got excited.
Yeah, or they got excited. Yeah, for sure.
There's a book on it. Yeah.
They went through a time zone during daylight savings time.
That's it.
Bam.
Yep. What do you, and I would honestly, this is not a path we can dive down too deep, but it does make me wonder, would the Bermuda Triangle be extraterrestrial?
See, people say this all the time, that there is some sort of, sort of extraterrestrial portal there.
Yeah.
People keep getting lost in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they claim wasn't it a whole fleet of planes that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle?
Was, yeah.
And see, I thought it was the South Pole that people couldn't go to because that was the entrance into Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth.
Yeah, because a lot of these studies are saying that aliens are coming from the sea, like beneath the earth and from the sea.
See, now we're getting into Bible territory here.
Yeah.
Because, that's the gates of hell, all that. Yeah, the underworld.
Well, that's what a lot of these Navy ships are saying. A lot of these Navy ships are saying they'll come up out of the water, they'll fly, and then go back down into the water.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Wow, that's a new one for me.
The ocean is one I've always said I wish they would explore more. Because we really have not explored that much of the ocean.
Everything is scarier underwater.
The ocean is terrifying.
Yeah, you're just going to find a lot of plastic, I think.
Right.
Yeah, probably. I did watch James Cameron. He's been to the deepest part of the ocean. He's one of 5 people. And it was pretty crazy. So I don't know if the listeners care, but it was 35,000 feet deep or something. And he was in this little bitty... It was kind of shaped like a crustacean because he talked about it was like a long little skinny tube that he's in. He's sitting in there like this, and they got little joysticks. And when he gets down there, one of the first times when he goes down there, the power goes out in this little submarine thing that he's in. And I think if I remember right, he sat there for 18 hours. And you can't even move in there. That would be terrifying.
Life lesson number 1. Don't get in one of these things.
Yes.
It won't go well for you.
No, it won't. It will not.
Just don't do that.
So I got some others I was going to share real quick on.
No, dude.
So this is supposed to be, so I actually asked our AI friend. Mine doesn't pray for me like yours does. Oh,
man. You got to get one that prays for you.
I know. This one's probably plotting on me. But I asked it top 5 alien encounters. And this says, and I haven't even read this one, this says the Phoenix Lights in 1997. Thousands of people reported seeing a series of lights in the sky over Arizona, Nevada, and the Mexican state of Sonora in March of 97.
I remember that.
Well, and why does a lot of this happen out west?
I don't know. Lots of open spaces. I don't know.
Maybe. It says while official explanations included military flares and aircraft, some believe it was a mass sighting of extraterrestrial origin. I'll punch through these here. This last one, Rendlesham Forest incident in the 80s. It's also known as Britain's Roswell. This incident involved U.S. military personnel stationed near the RAF Bentwaters in England. Witnesses reported seeing strange lights in the forest and a metallic object on the ground. Official explanations range from misinterpretations to possible military activities. Seems to always be those trifling military.
Yep.
Or you just got it wrong. You didn't see what you thought.
Yes, yeah.
To which I can tell you that a lot of privates will go,
yeah. The last one here, top 5, and we kind of mentioned this one last week. The Travis Walton abduction in 1975.
Yeah.
So Travis Walton claimed to have been abducted by a UFO while working with a logging crew in Arizona. He was missing for several days and later recounted a tale of being aboard an alien spacecraft. Mm-hmm. The incident gained attention and was later adapted into the film Fire in the Sky. Yep.
Yeah. Good movie.
Wow.
Robert Patrick.
I haven't seen it.
It's good.
Does he get probed?
Yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing about that, though, is the entire crew that was out there cutting woods and Travis Walton himself, they were all given lie detector tests, and they all passed.
Really?
And later they said, well, these guys were holding their breath and doing what they could to cheat the lie detector test. But, I mean, you're going to sit here and tell me that some lumberjacks
can outsmart the lie detector polygraph.
Yeah, like you're gonna tell me like that's your answer, right? Like these guys can't do it on Maury.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Phil. They can't cheat the lie detector, but yet these lumberjacks can.
Yeah.
And there's also the Dulce base. Have you heard of that one?
I don't think so.
The Dulce base in New Mexico. It's on Navajo land. They claim that it's an underground base that has alien activity.
Who's they?
Them.
Okay.
Them.
It's a conspiracy theory.
They, them.
Okay.
Businessman Paul Benowitz. He was the first to make the claim.
So what do y'all think of these encounters? Are they? Are they legit?
I believe the experience was.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. It's.
I don't think it's what most people think it is.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute too, but it's hard to. I mean, like, if you just like believe this all the way down to your soul, I mean, how do you refute something like that?
And contactees do believe it. I mean, that's a legitimate experience for them. Like you will never tell them otherwise.
The Jeremy Corbell, he's gotten huge into it. He actually was like was he with the Red Hot Chili Peppers or something? He was like Jeremy Corbell. He was a musician for a long time.
The Chili Peppers.
And he actually became buddies with George Knapp. And George Knapp is a famous journalist that was did the Mothman prophecies. And
say his name again.
Jeremy Corbell.
No.
He he is a huge alien guy now.
Okay.
And I know the guy from Blink-182 is.
That ain't him, is it? Is it Jeremy Corbell?
No, that's
Jeremy Corbell. He, let me see who he played for, because I found him here. Yeah, but he is huge. He's actually done several movies. He did the Bob Lazar movie one of them that I watched. But I mean, he truly he 100% believes it, and he's very passionate about it. Maybe I'm wrong. It says art career, but it's not.
Yeah, I see film, art career, and martial arts.
Gotcha. Maybe not. Maybe I am thinking of the one dude, but Jeremy Corbell, he was on Joe Rogan, and that's what he's very passionate about this stuff. And he actually shared a thing today of some footage of that the Pentagon or somebody put out of a UAP, and they confirmed, they're like, it's a UAP. We don't know what it is.
Wow.
And it's not military. So, man, it's just.
Is there another country that has technology that we don't have?
I don't know. I just don't know. Who would it be? Unless some country.
Well, it's always going to be China, right?
That's what you want to say, but then part of me is it's got to be Switzerland, some country that's just not telling everybody what they're doing. That was one of the things that gets me whenever our news wants to share our military tactics, what's going on at the time. They're like, well, and they put out the U.S. is going to do this. Yep. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah. Well, and that comes back to all the underground bases theories. Because if you look where confirmed underground bases are, that's where our greatest technology is. Like the underground base in Virginia, it's miles and miles and miles of supercomputers. It's what runs our network.
Yeah.
I think Camp David's got an underground base. There's what keeps the president. And then we got nuclear underground bases. It's really interesting to think that, maybe the answer's not in the sky, it's under the ground.
Yeah. Well, a wild thing that's coming up, and just researching for this episode, I found out, I guess it's the Pentagon or somebody that they formed. I mean, they have formed like a UAP task force now.
Right. I did hear about that for sure.
Did you hear that they're going to use AI to find aliens? They said they're working on an artificial intelligence that's sole purpose is going to be to hunt and find extraterrestrial life if it exists.
I feel like that's a very poor idea. If we got this extremely intelligent, incredibly incapable being out there, you think they can't hack AI?
Well, that doesn't say. The bad thing is now we're going to have the Terminator powered by aliens. Like
that goes into the category of what could possibly go wrong. Yes. What could possibly go wrong?
Like we just thought that the sentient robot was going to be bad, but now it's going to be a robot that's also like super powered by aliens. Like
Independence Day meets War of the Worlds.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yes.
That is crazy.
Meets Ultron.
Yeah, but that is their plan. It said they're going to use AI to try to locate them.
Apparently, China now has this AI-driven surveillance system. And apparently it is so incredibly sophisticated that they literally can keep track of you from sun up till sundown.
Nice.
Facial recognition, the whole 9 yards. Like they're working on putting a blanket over their whole entire country so they can track anybody at any time. And they say that it's been confirmed that there are 8 other countries so far that are now implementing it.
U.S.
Y'all smell that?
I don't know.
It smells like communism.
Yeah, it does. It does. It smells red.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they can't watch this in China. It's okay.
Unless you have TikTok on your phone.
That's right. Unless you have TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh man, I am on the TikTok.
See, that's the funny thing about it is this guy on this podcast that was talking about this surveillance system and the Uyghur people and all that stuff. He legit said they don't let people in China have TikTok, and government employees, nobody that works for the government can have it on their phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what
invasive.
Sean Ryan or somebody did a podcast, and that's what he was saying. Here, they should not allow government employees to have it.
Right.
But I have heard.
Well, that's what I mean in the U.S.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. They don't allow them here. Okay, I thought they did.
Nope.
Man, I love it though, man. When we start talking about these conspiracy theories, like, and I'm not saying TikTok's a conspiracy theory, like it is legit.
It's Chinese.
It's legit tracking malware. But here's the thing, though. I've heard so many, especially the good old boys right here. Well, they ain't putting no tracker on me. Blah blah blah. Yeah. What do you think this is?
It monitors you 24/7.
What do you think this is?
That's why I finally I had people like, man, you need to get on TikTok, and they're like the farm TikTokers on there.
I know they're everywhere.
And so I was like, and I used to be like, man, I ain't letting China track me. And it's like, dude. And then you watch, and Sean Ryan was another one. I think he had some guys on, and they were talking about like your phone could be turned off, and you could have it laid somewhere. They can still listen to you. Like they were like, you have to actually like remove the battery from the phone.
And why do you think they made it to where we can't?
Yeah,
I mean, come on, man. This
I know
the technology that they have. So I mean, it, and that's where my buddy that diehard believes in Bigfoot. That I told y'all about.
Yeah.
He absolutely does not believe in aliens. And I was so caught off guard by that. Like, I put up a poll on Instagram. This has been probably 6 months ago. And I asked, do you believe in aliens? I said, yes, no, starting to wonder.
Yeah.
And I think I had like 25% said no. And the rest all said yes or starting to wonder. And he was one of the hard no's. And I messaged him and I was like, how do you not believe in aliens? And he was like, I think that it's a government cover up. He said, I 100% believe that they're just showing us this so that it'll this is like the little laser beam that you shine on the wall for the cat to play around. He was like, I just feel like they're just leading us around to distract us.
And
He's like, I think it's a distraction.
I actually lean that way. I believe similarly.
Yeah.
I don't think everything is explained by government, but I do believe. I mean, look at MK Ultra, right? They feed people LSD, take them to brothels, and experiment on them.
Yeah.
And
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and I mean, but think about it though. If you're under LSD, right, it could very possible look like an alien gets you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, granted, a lot of these people aren't on drugs or anything like that. But we even got to talk about the other aspect of it. The book of Urantia. It's the UFO religion.
I heard about that. Let's get into that for a minute. You can actually have UFOs and extraterrestrials as your religion.
Yeah, and they're about Jesus.
Okay. But in a bad way.
In a bad way. Yeah, it's the first edition was 2,097 pages. And over 1/3 of it was rewriting who Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit, all of it. They were rewriting who they were, what our purpose is, and how we behave.
Who has the time to do that?
I don't know. It was in the 20s. I guess they were bored.
So was it an American author?
Yeah, the author is unknown, but it was published between the 20s and the 50s.
I see what's happening here. Unknown author?
Mm-hmm.
Alien author?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why do they care about Jesus?
I don't know. I didn't read the book.
There you go, Pat. There's your homework for next week.
Oh, man, don't put another book on me. But it says, let's see here. It's 4 parts. The first part is the central and super universe, the local universe, which deals with us here on Earth and our religion, the history of Urantia, which deals with Adam and Eve, and the life teachings of Jesus.
Huh.
Yep.
Why are they always picking on Jesus? Why can't they? Why can't it be like the life of I don't know,
Muhammad?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
It kind of did. Well, wouldn't that say because they're? It's kind of, to me, it's like the atheist that wants to always attack Christianity. It's like, man, if you're truly an atheist, why do you care?
Yeah, it says the author is anonymous. The publisher is the Urantia Foundation.
Foundation.
Yeah, other since becoming. First publication date was October 12th, 1955.
Wow. I feel like that's a controversial time for that book to come out.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember Heaven's Gate? Heaven's Gate?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Talking about the cult?
Yeah, that was a UFO religion.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it originated kind of where I come from, up in the Northwest.
I knew there was something about you.
That's exactly right. It's they were. I can't remember everything about it, but they had like an end of the world day, and they were all going to climb into these spaceship kind of things. And,
oh wait, was that the 1988 group?
Yeah.
You're not talking about the Kool-Aid drinkers, are you?
No, that's down in
John Jones,
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
I know what you're talking about. They claimed the world was going to end in 88, and then when 88 happened, they said, "Wait, it's next year."
Yeah.
Was that the cocoons?
Yeah.
Did they have? Would they believe they had the cocoons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that's
that
right.
was the Heaven's Gate group.
Yeah. Let me get to it. Wow.
Jim Jones was the one that's like, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid, man. Don't drink the Kool-Aid."
Jonestown.
I saw a whole documentary on that.
Yeah,
one.
Really?
That's nuts, man.
It's crazy. Anyway, there are actually, it says here, a number of UFO religions.
Yep.
So
they're like seeking. They're obviously seeking a god or a deity.
And see, that was my whole point of last episode of saying, what would you call it? Let's take the whole alien equation out of it. When you're looking to the sky for something that's omniscient, omnipresent, all these things, to something that's outside of what we have.
Yeah.
I call that faith. That's religion. You're looking for something to give you power, and it takes me right back to the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to this. The rise of the modern UFO religions can be traced to Kenneth Arnold, who in the mid-1940s reported to have seen several flying saucers. Sightings by other individuals followed, and soon people were relating their experiences of meeting and communicating with aliens from other planets. George Adam Adamski
sounds Polish,
was the first contactee of the modern era. Believing he had been visited by a being from the planet Venus on November 20th, 1952, Adamski saw himself as the chosen person with the mission of communicating important messages from the aliens to human beings. He never founded a religious organization as such, but he attracted a following interested in the wisdom and knowledge that the aliens had to offer the human race. This led to the foundation of the International Get Acquainted Club.
Get Acquainted
Club.
Club.
When was this modern guy? What year?
52?
Yeah, 52. Yeah. He started a foundation, all these different kinds of things.
It makes sense.
Yeah, there's the Aetherius Society, the Unarius Academy of Life.
Yeah, because and Dr. Ross, when he was talking about it, that's what he said. What's crazy is the encounters have kept pace with what humans know. Like at first it was aliens are from the moon, and then we realized fairly early there's no life on the moon. Then it was Venus.
Yeah.
And then it was Mars, but found out Venus was too hot. It was a gaseous planet. And then it was Mars, but now we know Mars doesn't have any life. So now it's a different solitary system far off.
Yeah. Aren't women from Venus?
Yeah, and men are from Mars, I think.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, and there's something called the Theosophical movement.
Oh, that sounds a big word.
Theosophical, yeah. So yeah. Oh, wow. The late Sister Thedra, the founder of this organization, channeled for years the ascended masters, while later on she also communicated with the angel Moroni, prominent in Mormonism, with beings from other planets, and with Sananda, who is Christ.
Wow.
See?
So is this...
They try to rewrite the Christ narrative.
Yeah. See, now this would go... So I'll go ahead and reveal part of our hand here.
Okay.
Because of that.
Good.
So, typically, if there's dealings, that would classify as the occult. Mm-hmm. So you got the occult dealing, and that opens the door for demonic intervention in a sense. So that's, a lot of guys speculate that these aliens and these encounters are demonic. But now my other question is, and it's what I guess we had last week too, is, I've talked to some guys that are very strong in their faith, and they're like, it's not demonic. They're like, I don't think it's demonic. They're like, I think it's a being. So if it's not demonic and it's a being, then how the heck does that work?
But both things can be true at the same time.
It can be a being that's demonic.
No, some of these encounters could have some sort of spirit world attached to it. But on the other hand, there might be other beings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's not the demonic thing isn't just the blanket answer.
Right. I want you to take into account, because I want to tie this back to the Bible and our faith. So, did Jacob wrestle with an angel?
Yes, he did.
How did he physically wrestle with an angel?
Had to take a physical form.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, where do angels go? They're all over the place, right?
Yeah.
They can come and go. They're interdimensional
They
beings.
go up and down the ladder. Says it right there.
It does. So when we talk about angels and demons, for that matter, they're interdimensional beings. And when I say interdimensional, I don't mean like from the other side of the universe and things like that. I mean from what we call the third dimension is what we live in. We can taste, see, all that, from the fourth dimension or whatever dimension celestial beings are from.
Yeah.
Because they can take physical form or not. They can come here and go to and from, but we can't. They're from a different dimension. They're interdimensional beings.
Okay, so here's a little thread we can pull. All of these UFO religions, some of them are formal religions, some of them are just kind of like religions. Mm-hmm. But their founders, who attracted followers, believe that they not only have made contact with aliens, but the aliens have some sort of wisdom. Mm-hmm. And that contact with the aliens is equivalent to salvation or self-improvement.
Yep, You're the chosen ones.
Yeah. And some of them will go so far, just like what we talked about last week with Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That people will attach significance to a site like that and say, well, what they believe is that aliens originally brought DNA to this planet, and they are the source of humanity. Here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that kind of leads us toward kind of where we're going with this, which is okay. So we know that there's some sort of intertwining with not just sightings. Now the sightings are kind of a different ball game.
Yeah.
But encounters that starts to get into some metaphysical, maybe some, supernatural kind of things. Now I don't think we can crowd it all into one category or the other category.
Yeah.
Because I think once again, the Bible is clearly not saying anything concrete about it. I think that there's plenty of room. And like I said last week, many of the early theologians of the 1st and 2nd century, even up into the 5th or 6th century, had no problem believing that there was other life out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Created life, the whole thing. Yep. They didn't attach it to any kind of wisdom or anything. They just thought, well, hey, maybe we got distant neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how's it going? But let's get into Dr. Hugh Ross.
Yeah,
because this guy, if you've never heard of, now we did get a comment on our YouTube video.
Which one?
The last week's one.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's on there. It may have been on Facebook.
So I think it was on.
I think it was on Facebook. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
I'll check on YouTube just to be safe.
Yeah, just to be safe, right? Talking about Neil deGrasse.
Okay. Yeah, I've listened to him some.
Yeah, I have too. And Neil deGrasse says that there can't be any other beings out there because
we got 4 on YouTube.
Did we really?
Yeah, great episode. Thanks for the podcast on aliens. You are talking my language. Oh, that's Miss Kay Summers.
Look at that.
And then Amber,
Kay.
great episode. I'll give them all a thumbs up. And they said, if they show up and they are little gray men, I'm punting it. Oh, that's what she said.
There you go.
All right, there you go. So, awesome. Appreciate you guys.
So the point was, and this was Alan. Alan, hey to you, Alan. He watches every time.
Okay.
And he said that Neil deGrasse said that there couldn't possibly be any visitations. He didn't say that they couldn't exist, but there couldn't be any visitations because we would have caught something on satellite. That there would have been some sort of, you would get so much satellite garbage out there right now.
Which that would make sense.
It does kind of make sense.
Yeah.
But they can cloak themselves.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's how much intelligence are we giving these things?
Well,
I know.
That's where it comes back to interdimensional for me.
Yeah.
Because if anything enters the atmosphere, even with us, we can see it. We can see meteor showers. We can see comets. We can see these things that cross our atmosphere. And also, too, we don't take into account when you think of alien sightings or abductions and things like that. You think out in the middle of the woods, right? But there's been many stories of people having aliens visit them in their room, in their bedroom.
Yeah. Oh no, that's creepy.
You know what I mean? And so, you're going to tell me that this alien just picks just a random house.
Okay.
Look, maybe no one's there. Let me just show up here. Boom, and I materialize in their bedroom.
That's the thing that I think about is, okay, so why would they then become visible? Did they mess up? Or did something malfunction?
That's what I wonder. What's the purpose?
Right. Or is it just an accident?
Yeah, because they could snatch you without you ever seeing them. If they were
they can suck a cow up into the thing with a light beam.
So can the cockatrice.
Yes, true.
That's right.
So let's get into Dr. Hugh Ross.
Yeah,
the little green men.
Yeah, we all watched this video.
Watched it a couple times.
It's a talk that he did at a UFO conference, and it was at a church. He's a Christian. He's from Canada, we like to say.
Yeah,
and the interesting thing about and also, by the way, if you want to go to a UFO conference, they're happening all over the place.
Is there some nearby?
I'm looking for one. Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Oh, nice.
Let's
go
good.
to that.
I was gonna say we got
a road trip for us.
We got to start planning some of these road trips.
I know.
Look, I'm gonna give Dr. Hughes credentials though. He has a PhD in astronomy. All right. He's got a master's in physics, so we're talking sky and the way physical science works. His postdoctoral research was at Caltech, not too shabby there, from 73 to 78, and his main thing was studying quasars and galaxies, and he was the UFO guy. He was the one for the past 20, 25 years. Anytime UFO sightings came in, he was the one who had to handle them.
So he was a big dummy.
Yeah,
that's right.
He said his reputation followed him everywhere. So anywhere he went, he was the UFO guy who had to check these things out.
Yeah,
he says in this little talk that he did at the conference, it's about an hour and a half long, and the title of it is Little Green Men. So if you want to go Dr. Hugh Ross, Little Green Men, you'll find it on YouTube.
Hughes Ross,
fascinating.
Reasons to Believe.
Yeah, that's his organization.
Yeah, Reasons to Believe.
And don't let it discourage you initially, because it started to discourage me, because he's like 99% of these things can be explained. And I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but the 1% are legit. And he's like, it was like 20 million.
Yeah, that 1% is north of 20 million.
Yeah. It's like,
but are legit.
But the reason that he became sort of the UFO guy is because at 16 years old, he knew astronomy. He knew the skies better than anybody.
Yep.
They appointed him the director of this guild, this astronomy guild.
And this is the first thing. They set him up next to the UFO tent.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be promoting this little guild,
club.
And they sent him to a conference or a trade show or something like that, and they set his booth up. His booth space was right next to the UFO people, and they got to know each other. And he started feeding them all this information about the skies, and they're like, dude, we got to get you involved with this, because this is good information. And so we got all kind of interconnected that way.
Yep.
And so, he literally is one of the premier experts on astronomy and on UFOs
physics.
and in physics as well. So we can take this guy serious.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So there were a few things that were that he brought out in his talks. And one of the things that struck me, it just really struck me. He was very serious about this. He says all of these verified sightings and encounters of all the different levels are real.
Yep.
They are real. So Betty and Barney, real.
Legit.
Yeah. And so the Tic Tac, real. Yeah. All that stuff. But here's what he says. And this goes right along with the conclusion that we're coming to, that it can't only be one or the other. It can be, both things at the same time. But he said that that in the vast majority, like in the upper 90%, of all of these sightings, and not just the sighting, but mostly the encounters. He said in almost every one of them, there is one of the people involved, or a family member or somebody close to them,
direct ties.
It was involved with the occult. Heavily involved with the occult. And so after doing all these interviews and studying all these cases and being the guy that has to review all these things, he said he found it honestly astonishing and terrifying. And so he comes to the conclusion that the vast majority of these encounters are demonic in nature.
Yeah. And what was really creepy for me too, out of the 20 million, north of 20 million, he said 5 million of them were out of the USSR. Out of the Soviet Union, which was atheist, heavily atheist. And the Soviet Union asked him to come over.
They contracted him. He was over there for 3.5 years. He was a young man, and he was, of course, the expert on all this stuff. And they wanted him to, be the instructor and be the director of this. And he spent 3.5 years. And he said, every day I would show up in a room full of incredibly intelligent people, like all PhDs, all experts in their field. These were legit smart people. He said I would walk in, and immediately they would start hurling insults at me, and they would blaspheme the name of Jesus, and they would, it was just like, he said, I just got used to it after a while. And they'd get tired and they'd quit, and they'd start a session and they'd go on with it. But he said it was jarring at first. It's like,
I would imagine.
He's stirring up the demons. It's what was happening.
And the Soviet Union told him too. They said, if we catch you talking to anyone that's not a PhD candidate in this class, that anyone that's not a part of this, you talk about your faith to anyone here, we will deport you and you will never come back.
And he wasn't. he wasn't there to talk about his faith. He never talked about his faith. All of his lectures and all of his meetings and everything were all just purely scientific. But yet this whole,
I sure would be sad to get deported and never be welcomed back to the USSR. Yeah. Man,
back in the USSR,
it's my vacation spot.
Thanks, John Lennon.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing too: is when the Soviet Union disbanded, when it fell, he said he went back several times after that, and it
plummeted.
Yeah, it was
sightings plummeted.
Yeah, and so did the insults.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
I would be curious. I wonder what the, I'd like to see the breakdown of the religion, how it shifted after that.
Yeah, I would too. All I know is, basically it wasn't. It became not communist centric, and also a lot of these little countries began to have their own identity again, and all these different kinds of things.
Well, see, in off air, I guess it was off. Yeah, it was off air. We were talking about the communism thing, and I mean, I did not realize that was basically the religion.
Mm-hmm. The state. The state is your religion.
Yeah, that I didn't realize it.
Here's an interesting thing about that. They had in China, they had Confucius, the wise sayings, the proverbs and everything. Well, then it became the sayings of Chairman Mao. Mm-hmm. And that was like a big deal. That was kind of their religious book. And now, I don't remember the name of the guy that's in charge.
It's Xi
Ping something. Yeah. Anyway, he's rewriting the Bible.
Oh, really?
Including his own sayings.
Yeah. So now it'll be his sayings.
Mm-hmm.
Now rewind the clocks back to what we've been talking about on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Esther, right? Who was the king? Xerxes. And Xerxes was what? The god king.
Yeah.
He was the god.
That's the way it worked.
Yep.
That your king was somehow connected to, or maybe even one of the gods.
That's it.
Because he obviously he was chosen by the gods.
And so we wonder why in these communist countries or atheist countries or places that don't have a Christian footprint, should we say,
at all. Yeah.
That's where we're seeing a lot of this activity.
Yeah. Who would imagine that it would demonic influence and power would flourish in a place without that?
Do you know what the number one state in the U.S. is for UFO activity and sightings?
What?
Alaska. You'd think it'd be the desert and all that. It's Alaska.
Because it's like 10 of them, so if one person sees it, they're like 90 or whatever percent.
and it's right up there next to Russia, too. So.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you can see across to Russia.
I was thinking because the population's so small, they're like 90% that experience
all
encounter.
5 of them. Yeah, exactly. That's I mean, the first documented encounter was in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty atheist area, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. Although, there's been a lot of them in Arkansas, so I don't know. And then the name of this conference that's in Eureka Springs, it's the Ozark Mountain UFO Conference.
We need to go check it out.
We do need to go check it out.
Yeah, but in the Ozark, there's some crazy people up there already.
Yeah, man. That's kind of that's like the mountain folk, ain't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but see, we can read and write, so we're already going to be guest of honor
ahead of them. Yeah.
Sorry for all our Arkansas listeners. We're not trying to be personal.
No, but I think it would be kind of interesting to go because they're probably. I'm curious how many have a Christian background.
Yeah, and I would just like to hear some firsthand knowledge from get it from the horse's mouth per se.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what they have to say. And because I'm telling you, my view on this, as of right now where I sit, having zero experience with UFOs whatsoever, that I believe people are encountering interdimensional beings that are celestial.
Yeah.
That's just my belief because that's the way my brain works. And so I would like to hear people's stories and see how that works in my brain.
See, where it got me really, one of the things that really got me wondering, because I'm like, all right, if it were demonic, like why Skinwalker Ranch, for instance, talked about it last week, the little orbs would fly around.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, that's just such an odd thing for me to think a demon is going to, because they said it was like a glass orb. It looked like a glass orb with smoke inside of it. I'm like, why would a demon take that? Like, dude, if I'm a demon, I'm going to be a horrendous looking monster. Like, I'm going to be that dire wolf.
But what's scarier than an orb that can move at lightning speed and shoot at you?
Oh, it is, and it is, but it's just like, I don't know, man. I want to be something cool if I'm going to be like it.
Yeah. So what are you showing up at tomorrow? I'm a red orb. I'm going to go red today.
Yeah, I'm just going to be a little ball flying around in the sky.
You see these people take these candies, they think they call them Tic Tacs. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, but here's the other thing that Hugh Ross says. He says that some of these, whatever UFO things that they see in the air, he said they're real, but they're not physical.
Right.
They're real, but they're not physical, which means there's some sort of, sort of spirit being expression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it said that anything, even if it was a flying saucer from outer space, has to be subject to Earth's laws of physics to some degree.
Yeah. Any matter within in our atmosphere has to follow the law of physics.
I mean, you can defy the law of gravity. We know that with physics, force, all that kind of stuff. There's certain things that we can do that can manipulate the physical laws.
Right.
But everything ultimately.
Yep.
I mean, so where did they come from and what are they? He says, a lot of them are just expressions of the spirit world.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as our world gets degraded and it gets crazier and it gets more chaotic and there's more spiritual activity and frankly, like you say, the Christian footprint, the presence of God, then it's just,
Yeah, it makes sense that it would seem the encounters are on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing such a pushing out of faith in so many areas.
If you think about it, they have exponentially been on the rise.
Yeah.
UFO sightings. That's just like you said about them not being physical because they don't obey the laws of physics. That's what directly makes me think that they have to be interdimensional beings.
Right.
That they have to be something that's not from our universe. It's not a created form that as we comprehend it.
So, do you subscribe to the multi-universe theory?
I don't even understand this one.
I know. That one blows my mind too. But there are scientists that will tell you that there are multiple universes.
It's like string theory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't even want to think about that. That's too much for me. Okay, so what this does is possibly shed some light on some of this stuff. It doesn't explain everything away. And we can't just throw the demonic blanket over everything.
Yeah.
But what it does say is, that many of these encounters, abductions, all these kinds of things
are legit.
They're very real.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I'll say this as well too. This everything that we've given you,
Pat has been probed. He's about to reveal everybody.
Everything that we have given you has been a science view, poor explanation for a spiritual event. Science cannot explain spirituality. It can explain it to us the best that it can.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of skeptics and hardcore believers come in because they cling on to one piece of evidence so hard, and that's the truth. That's their truth because that's the only thing we can go on.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yep, that's it. Aliens are real. They're from Mars and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But as we say all the time, everything's not black and white.
Yeah.
It's very gray.
But I think it's very safe to say that
just like the aliens, they're gray.
And what we would consider, or some would consider encounters with aliens is very real. Yeah. We talked about this a little bit ago. The experiences for them are very, very real.
100%.
Yep.
But it's not necessarily something from another planet.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, and we may have said this last week, if you look at the descriptions of angels in the Bible, dude, that could be an alien. Like,
for sure.
If I saw those things, like, I would probably think that it's an alien. We joke and say, literally, an angel's first words is, "Do not be afraid."
I know. Exactly.
And also, what's so funny too is, as people have described aliens over the years, they've grown more and more and more like the way Hollywood portrays them.
Yeah,
that's true.
And it's also when people describe UFOs or UAPs, whatever you want to call them, they've kept pace with human understanding of knowledge.
Yeah, the flying saucer things are gone.
Yeah,
you don't see that
back
hardly.
in Roswell days, they were flying over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Well, no crap. If you got to get that fast to get off the ground.
Yeah.
And then it was World War II, the Foo Fighters, they were flying over 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then now it's almost the speed of light.
Yeah.
And it's as we comprehend it. So that lets me know that even if these real experiences are only related to what we can comprehend.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way it'll affect you.
Well, I mean, listen to this this other passage from Ezekiel. We touched on Ezekiel a little bit, but this one really hooked me in pretty good. It says in chapter 1, verse 25, it says, "There came a voice from above the expanse that was over their heads. Whenever they stood still, they dropped their wings. Now above the expanse that was over their heads, there was something resembling a throne, like lapis lazuli."
Okay. What is that?
Yeah,
like
what?
Lapis lazuli. That is some sort of precious stone, apparently.
Lapis lazuli?
Yeah. In appearance. And on that which resembled a throne, high up, was a figure with the appearance of a man. Then I noticed from the appearance of his loins and upward, something like glowing metal that looked like fire all around within it. And from the appearance of his loins and downward, I saw something like fire, and there was a radiance around him.
Sounds very alienish.
That's sort of alienish.
It is.
And then you get to the reveal.
And then he said to me, "Son, stand on your feet." That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So, I think that our conclusion can be, and that surely a lot of these encounters and sightings are spiritual in nature.
Yeah.
Demonic entities, creatures, encounters, experiences. But also that does not rule out
The possibility
of legit other life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think most of the questions from the people that I talked to came from, if it's another being, the biggest question that I have and the big question that other people have had is, do they have a soul?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's kind of the one thing you just wonder. It's like, do they have a soul? And because we were saying, like, if they're beings like the fallen angels, they were, sent to hell. And so it's like, all right, well, maybe if they're on the same kind of level as that, it's like, sorry, bro, you can't go to heaven, but you are going to hell.
Well, what's really crazy though is a lot of these names from the government officials that are talking about these UFOs, starting back in Roswell days, they're the same names that pop up in Operation Paperclip, pop up in MK Ultra, Project Blue Book, various other CIA operations.
Yeah.
And here's the cool little thing that I realized though is only one president has had one CIA director. That was Eisenhower. It was Allen Dulles. The rest of them had 2, 3, 4, 5.
Really?
CIA directors. They're only in there for a limited amount of time.
Wow.
So they're limited on how much they can learn.
Yeah. Dude, could you imagine how awful it would be if you made it to like a 5-star general rank and you got to uncover like the military secrets, or you became the president? Like, I mean, I feel like there's probably quite a bit of things they hide from the president, but like if you made it to that top tier and you got to go in there, like, so this is legit. This is the aliens. And like, they take you in a room, you see it. Dude, that would be the worst thing ever, because like you can't tell anybody.
No, can't tell anybody.
I would hate that. Like, there's a part of me, I'm like, man, I just want to know. But it's like, I don't want to know.
Well, there's somewhere in this country, way up on a mountain, there's a guy living in a little A-frame cabin. We just have to find that guy.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he's about ready to talk right now.
He's got to be, like, he's got to be on his deathbed.
We can't find him. He's got the tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's something else, too, that I come across. And now, granted, this is conspiracy theory territory. It's just kind of a cool little fact, but it brings down my point of Hollywood. Some people speculate that Steven Spielberg is complicit with CIA.
You were telling me about that.
And the reason this is because of his film choice and the way he portrays things. It's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. These are alien films. And then he has historical films, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, Bridge of Spies. And then faith, ghosts, and spiritual movies, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Last Doom, dealing with these religious artifacts, Poltergeist, and AI, artificial intelligence. Now, do I subscribe to Spielberg as a CIA operative? No. But what I am telling you is don't take what real world things from Hollywood. It's not real. Indiana Jones is not a guy. It's Harrison Ford pretending to do things. All right. This is not real.
I think that the CIA may be taking directives from Steven Spielberg.
Right. Yeah. They're like, hey, did you see that one in 84? Use that.
Yeah.
Dude, I love the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark when
their
they
face
open
melts off.
this ark and their skin melts off.
Yeah.
That is some of the
that dude's scream is the best.
There's a YouTube video where somebody has dubbed hilarious screams over their screams, and it is like one of the most hilarious videos. When we finish this air, I got to show y'all a clip.
Awesome.
Like it shows one guy looking through the camera, and he's like, "What?" And it's like fire. It's good. It's good.
Okay, so what's going to be our stance? Our UFOs?
Well, I wanted to just add something. You talking about?
Oh, sorry.
We were talking about the dude and like living up on the mountain.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, it's kind of weird. It's kind of wild to think. In all reality, there could be some guy that is like, everybody's like, this dude's a lunatic that's been saying like these things, like, dude, they got this, and he looks disheveled, and they're like, this dude's just a crazy guy. And I mean, he legit could be some former guy that had made it and been in there, and the government and all them are like, this guy, he never had any record of he was never in the military. Right. He never did this. He never did that. He's a crazy guy. Like, I mean, that's what they would do. They would, unless just killing the guy, they would just make him look like a crazy person.
Do you think that's why whistleblowers come out now? Because like the guy who shot Martin Luther King, James Earl Ray.
If he did it.
Well, I was going to say, there's that guy come out and said, no, I'm the one who really killed Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And, James Earl Ray corroborated the story on his deathbed.
Yeah.
And then you have all these people, like these people that come out and say, Lee Harvey Oswald, and all these things, know.
He's a dinosaur.
Yeah, he's a dinosaur. So here's the thing. If you have information, don't hold on to it till you're old and gray, because no one's going to believe you.
Yeah. I mean,
get it out there.
Yeah, get it out there, man.
They'll think
we live in a digital age, baby. Wobble, baby, wobble. Get it out there.
I was doing a show one time in near Death Valley in California on a military base.
Okay.
Big naval air station out there. And some funky stuff goes on out there.
Yeah.
But here's the funny story is we were doing this, that's when I was with Jody, and so we were doing this big family day kind of concert. And so they always, have supper for us and everything like that. Well, instead of doing it on base, they took us off-site to a restaurant in town. They said, "Oh, you guys are going to love this because it's real Italian food out here in Death Valley."
Yeah.
And so they had it all set up, banquet hall, everybody was down, and it was some of the best Italian food I ever put in my mouth.
Really?
I mean, it was so good. And so they brought the chef out, and they said, "Hey, this is Mickey. He used to play drums. Now he cooks for us, and he has got his restaurant here. And isn't he awesome?" And the guy opens his mouth and he's talking with a New York accent. And so I start putting things together.
Uh-oh.
Mickey, Italian guy, musician. He's now in a place where nobody will ever find him. This is not the witness protection program.
Yeah.
I don't know what is.
Yeah. It's like he's got to be. He's completely on the other side of the country.
He's cooking Italian food, real Italian food in Nowheresville,
so
California.
His name's definitely not Mickey.
No.
Yeah.
And it's probably Salvatore. That, it was just how that reality sort of
Did you have to kiss his ring?
No, I did not. But he did make me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yeah. So I'm like Pat then. All right, Pat. Let's go down the line. What's your stance?
Well, I got a question first. Did you ever talk about aliens with Jody Messina?
No, only like immigrant aliens. People don't know this, but she's from Boston.
Yeah, Boston.
Yeah,
that's what
Boston,
you said. Yes.
Yeah. She's a sweet girl.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, my stance on aliens. I don't know about believing in little green men from space, all that. Never seen them. I don't have anything credible to believe it. I believe there are interdimensional beings that are what I would call spiritual beings, be they nefarious or righteous. They're both. They can take whatever form they want. That lines kind of up with the spiritual powers of the Bible for me. That's what I believe.
I think that's totally credible. I'm gonna take a little bit of a middle ground here, because I'm not going to be the one that says God didn't create something else somewhere else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I also know all of the challenges that we talked about last week. 25,000 light years or 25 light years. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit with Neil deGrasse on. We would have seen them coming somehow.
Yeah.
So but that doesn't mean they don't exist.
Right.
And there certainly could have been at some point some cover-ups or some secret stuff, or but they also could be weird government secrets that they don't want us to know. So
yeah,
I'm leaving the door wide open for aliens. I'm okay with it. I think if there's life on other planets, I'm sure that he must know.
Yeah, and I will say too, it does not offend me that people believe.
No, yeah,
at
exactly.
all. And I'm not saying I got it figured out. I'm just saying for me, for Pat, no, it's a little too far out there.
And that's the other side of my point is I also believe there's a lot more demonic activity than we know of. And I think that there's stuff like that when we're messing around with stuff, and like Dr. Hugh Ross was saying, in the 90-something percentile of those people that were involved in one of those close encounters, somebody around them or they themselves were involved in the occult, which we've talked about this over and over in our Halloween series. When you mess around with that stuff, you're seeking it out. Witchery and sorcery and all that stuff.
We totally didn't cite Dr. Heiser. Dr. Heiser's documentary, The Unseen Realm.
Yes.
Yeah, it talks a lot about this. Check that out.
Yeah, there's a whole big section on UFO.
Yeah. Unseen Realm.
That's a book you need to get as well, and the documentary is on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So it's excellent stuff.
Yeah.
But so I'm a hybrid. I think that I'm not sure that aliens have landed on our planet. Yeah. But I'm not sure they couldn't. But I also think that there's a lot of juju out there that comes from our enemy that
comes from New York in Dead Valley.
Yeah, there you go. So I would be more inclined to lean more heavily on the demonic side, because I know how real it is and I know how prevalent it is, and when you mess around with that stuff, sometimes you get probed.
That's the quote of the day.
Yeah,
mess around with demonic stuff, you get probed.
That's exactly right.
Well,
what you got, Logan?
I feel like it's kind of funny, the layout of the table.
I know. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, you
I know where you're going.
I know y'all had your expectations.
Yes.
So, but in my same struggle that I always have, do I want to believe them to be real because I think it'd be cool? So I still wrestle with that. Do I think that it's a lot of demonic? I do. I do think it's a lot of demonic. But man, I just gotta hold on to my weirdness a little bit.
That's right.
I'm thinking this might be some aliens out there.
Yeah.
So you're into farming. What's your opinion on the crop circles?
I don't know. That is another thing that's kind of crazy, because the way when they look at it, the way the crops are laid down, I mean, it's not something somebody could just do.
Yeah.
So I mean,
who has time to do that?
Yeah, who has time to do that? And I've seen the movie Signs. I've seen those crop circles. You haven't seen Signs, have you?
No, actually, I know about it, but I've never sat down and watched
Mel Gibson. I cursed.
Yeah. So
I mean, stuff like that. I mean, I'll tell you one of the weirdest ones to me that makes me really. And again, I've cited Skinwalker Ranch a few times.
Yeah.
But one of actually last year, we did a Halloween episode on another podcast to do. And we talked about cattle mutilations.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, I've heard about that, yeah.
They are so bizarre because there's never any blood.
Right.
Like, the blood is gone. Sometimes certain organs will be gone. They're like basically surgically removed. Like, it'll be surgical incisions, no blood, and it's typically no sign of a struggle from the animal. Like there was one cow.
Like they're sedated?
It would be, but one of them, the cow's head would move and none of the rest of its body would move because they said it had actually dug a hole with its head where it was like moving its head back and forth, probably in agony while they're doing this stuff to it. And like, I'm a big No Country for Old Men fan. Tommy Lee Jones plays this like hardened old sheriff. Well, there was a story, and I guess it was in Arizona or Nevada area, and they had some crazy cattle mutilations happen. The sheriff came out and investigated it, and I'll just never forget. I was listening to a podcast on it, and the woman that had the ranch, she said the sheriff told her he was afraid. And like, she was like, this dude was like, she described him as like this hard, like Western sheriff, like cowboy.
Yeah.
And she was like, never afraid of anything. And she said his exact words were, I am afraid. And so stuff like that, I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
And playing back in the demonic side of it too, that base I was telling you about, the supposed one, Dulce base in New Mexico, it is supposedly under the largest Navajo.
So it could be cursed ground.
Burial site.
Reservation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's supposed to be under the largest
Wow.
Navajo.
Very, very spiritually cursed ground there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, so
Let's see, why would a demon drain a cow?
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
you're on your way home tonight. Alien shows up. What do you do?
You know, it depends on what it looks like. Like, honestly, I think if it was like a little green man or a little gray, glowing silver, I'd probably just stop. I'd probably look. And then I'd probably kind of keep driving.
No, he's like at your window.
At my window.
Yeah, knock.
Your own double bridges.
Yeah.
If he's at my window.
Your car shuts off.
Yeah, the flashlight man
man.
flags you down, and then the little dude comes walking up.
I'm reaching in the glove box and getting my silver fork.
I was just gonna say that's my go-to. As
I don't know, man.
My window's gone because I'm blasting all 17 rounds into
Yes. Yes.
it. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna pull the trigger till it goes click.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And then I'm calling you guys. Help me pick this thing up. We're gonna be on TV tonight.
Yeah. I would be. Honestly, if I saw like a legit alien, like I can't imagine much more something frightening to see.
It would be frightening.
Like if you saw some extraterrestrial being, and it was kind of what we have envisioned through Hollywood. I mean, really any of them. Like if it was kind of a featureless gray or green person thing standing there.
That's going to be my call. It's like, Logan, come help me pick this thing up. Peter, bring me some more pants.
Yeah. Yeah. Be like, hope it's the brown pants day. You know?
What if it was just standing there and all of a sudden went, wobble, baby, wobble, baby.
Oh, I gotta get in. You gotta be my pastor.
Well, that's why I'm like, do you shoot it? Because what if it's not? Like, what if it is truly here in peace? It wants to like.
I just messed that all up.
And then War of the Worlds kicks off. Yeah. They were like, we were coming to see if this were a peaceful
like, this
people.
Is what Scripture meant when it said we can hasten the day of the Lord.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, well, I don't think we want to hasten it that way.
No. What's your word this week? I looked. The message didn't have anything.
No, I don't need a word this week because I'm not preaching this week.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, Renaissance.
Okay.
Renaissance.
Gotcha. So next week now. Are we getting into Christmas next week? What's the plan?
I think we will. I got to count the weeks.
Gotcha.
And see what kind of material we have. But I definitely we're going to get into our Christmas series.
Yeah.
Sure. And we're going to figure out where Christmas actually came from. Is it just a repurposed pagan holiday?
Yeah.
Or all that kind of stuff. Where did we get the date for Christmas?
What was it? Saturnina?
I don't know, and you're being very ambiguous.
Ambiguous. I was just going down that rabbit hole. I looked it up.
But I think we can actually narrow down the exact day Jesus was born.
Really?
I think we can.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I know, me and you did I learned a lot when we did Living Fully Loaded, when I had you on there and we did the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
We that was a really good episode.
Saturnalia.
Yes, okay, Saturnalia.
Is that like a dinosaur?
It's a dinosaur.
It's a pagan holiday that dates back to like 500 BC.
Yeah, it's the most popular of Roman festivals.
And they had a tree, and they did private gift giving and things like that.
What legalist came up with that being a pagan? Or what legalist attached that to Christmas? I feel like it's the same ones that are like Halloween, and all this.
I don't know.
Easter.
Yeah, this is everything for the Roman god Saturn.
And there's some connection. People try to draw a connection between Christianity and there's like a Norse festival. That comes back. Every time the winter solstice comes around and all that.
Gotcha.
Kind of stuff.
I am channeling kind of my Norse look. I'm going for that
Viking. You need the horn hat.
Yeah.
Considering what we
make something here. Right?
Considering what we learned Sunday about Jesus and parties, Jesus says, "Wobble, baby, wobble." He's like, we'll take it. We'll take all these dates.
You make up. Yeah. We'll
you make them. We'll Jesus them up.
Yeah. What's your closing thoughts on the aliens? I honestly have to go back to Larry Norman. I think. No, I'm okay with aliens, and a lot of the reason I'm okay with it is because some of the scholars that I follow and I trust who have written some just incredible things. In fact, Michael Heiser, the last videos that he made for his little YouTube channel were on this very subject. Yeah.
And he did a lot of speaking. Most of his speaking engagements right up until the end were at UFO conferences, Christian UFO conferences.
Yeah, and he is quoted as saying that he's had some of the best theological conversations he's ever had at UFO conventions.
And a lot of it was I borrowed some of the content last week, some of the questions that he brought up, and just to kind of challenge us and make us think. But also, I feel like there's so much more about the whole universe that we just haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote the old X-Files. The truth is out there, man.
Yeah,
it's out there.
I'm just laughing still a little bit that y'all kind of had that expectation.
Yeah, I knew you were going full alien.
It was going to and it like degrades the further it gets down the table.
That's like, no way. Yeah. I'm like, we could possibly. And Logan's like, yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Bring it on.
It's aliens.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Aliens.
I'm Will Smith from Independence Day, man. When it happens, I'm going to be like, are you for real? Like, no.
I'll be going, I told you so.
Yeah.
So that, for those of you who are looking for hard black and white answers, you didn't
get them here.
but this is really just to kind of open us up a little bit, open our minds, open our hearts, and bring in the spiritual element to this thing.
Yeah.
Because we need to be thinking about this.
Well, we should do that with everything, do you think? Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, we should.
Yeah.
So who knows what we'll get into next week, but whatever it is, we will be reverent and rebellious about it.
That's right.
We're going to challenge it. If it smells bad, we're going to smell it.
That's it. Or it might just be me.
That's right. That's right. So, think about some aliens. Leave some comments down below.
Yeah, comment
tell
below.
us what you think.
Yeah.
And especially if you've had an encounter.
We would love to hear it if you've had an encounter.
And I will say this too, change my mind. I want someone to change my mind.
If you've had an encounter, you might want to check your heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before you check your drawers.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, there you go, guys. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, do all the things. Comment to us below, and we will catch you next week.
ET phone home. That's right.